What have you made of just what have the IceHogs have done this season? They obviously had a lot of turnover before they're entering the season, but here they are with a trip to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they've done a wonderful job. I mean, this is a tough division too. It's not an easy division to be successful in. The Wolves are a strong team perennially. Manitoba's had a great year this year. Grand Rapids are the Cup champions. It's not an easy division to make the playoffs in. They've made the playoffs. Now the question is going to be where they end up and who they play.
And especially the way they were last year. Again, how often do you see that? It's almost like a worst to first situation. They really flip the switch.
Yeah, you don't see it very often, although Manitoba has a similar experience this year where they've gone from a very poor year last year to a strong one. But typically it takes more than 1 year to rebuild a team here in the American League, and I've done a good job. The coaching's been good. I think everything in the organization is pointing in the right direction.
Looking ahead a little bit, there's a little restructuring going on in the league next year with teams moving divisions. What are your thoughts on that, and how will it affect the points versus winning percentage?
Well, one thing we're going to see is Colorado, our new team, our 31st team, will be in the Pacific Division. The two teams in Texas will move to the Central. And so everyone in the Pacific Division will play 68 games, so we won't need to worry about points percentage at all, really until the conference finals next year. So it's probably helpful for fans.
How's the league in general? Are you in a good place as a whole unity?
Yeah, we're actually going to set a new record for attendance this year all time in our 82nd season, and revenues as well. So
how many seasons?
That was a celebratory horn.
Yeah.
Right. We know we've had a wonderful year, as good as we've ever had, and we're very excited. I think we're in the strongest position we've been in my time, which is 24 years.
How does it transition to the AHL becoming a more developmental league to send guys up to the NHL as opposed to kind of a goal for people in general? Does that play into the...
Well, that's really been our objective since I started as president, which is 24 years ago, as I said. And every year we get closer. I think we're at about 90% of NHL players now. We come through the American League. All of the officials come through the American League. Most of the coaches come through the American League. And that's really the business model that we set up, and now we're matching up 31 teams next year to 31 in the NHL. We're in a really good spot. I think it's if you could design the ideal league below the NHL, I think we've got it.
A lot of stability between the IceHogs and the Blackhawks. Do you like when the teams stick with their affiliates that long?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at our last 10 years, there's been a move from all of our NHL clubs to try to get closer to their AHL club, getting closer to their own city, and the move to Rockford was part of that for the Chicago Blackhawks. It works for them, and we're seeing it in California with our California teams getting closer to each other. All across the league, not every city, but most of our cities now are very proximate to their NHL partner, which is a big value for that NHL team.
Talk about how the league's in a good spot right now, but what are some of the challenges you still face today?
Well, we're not sold out in every building every night, so that's a challenge. I mean, there's always room for us to grow, but as I said, I think it's the best year, and I know it's the best year we've ever had, attendance-wise, in the league. I think our hockey is as good as it's ever been in terms of our competition. If you look at where we are in terms of going into the playoffs right now, nothing's settled going into our final weekend. That's pretty good competition. So I think we're in a really positive place. If I had to look at what are our challenges going forward, I think just to continue to grow our game, grow our fan base, and strengthen some of the markets that aren't quite as strong as others.
With the way it worked with Rockford and Chicago, especially this year, the Blackhawks were out of it a little earlier, and this franchise had never really felt that when Chicago was out of it and they were in it. And then it seemed like the Blackhawks kind of gave them a little boost. They sent some players down, especially now. Is that pretty much the norm as well for how it works in the two leagues?
Well, it depends really. I mean, it is the way it works if an NHL team doesn't make the playoffs.
Right.
And they have young players that are eligible to play in the American League. You'll see players come back. Generally speaking, that's a positive. There's the odd time where you get players coming back that aren't as perhaps motivated as they might be, or somehow upset the chemistry in the room for the other guys. But most of the time, you get NHL level players coming back down. They're going to strengthen a team, and so our playoffs are a little less predictable than most because of that. If you look in the East, with Vancouver missed out, so Utica got a bunch of players back. Rochester got 8 players down from Buffalo.
8.
So if you're going to play them and you're Toronto and your team's still in the NHL playoffs, it's a little different matchup than you might have expected.
It is. It's a change for these guys.
Yeah.
Hawks have been in the playoffs
exactly.
every year, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.